Testing, 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 testing. All right. Welcome, everybody, to CanHammer TV. My name's Darren, your host. I'm known in various spheres as Darren. CanHammer Darren. Darren from CanHammer. Various alternative types of names. But welcome very much. Trash Panda 86, yes, is right. We are live here on CanHammer TV. It's been a very long day. It's nice to sit down and chat with people. Cheers. I've recently stopped drinking beer because trying to lose a bit of weight. And I came home today from work and I thought, God, I'd crush a beer right now, but there was none in the house. So instantly cracked a bottle of red and there we go. So Paint Pot, thank you very much for subscribing. I believe that's Kieran. Paint Pot. But thank you very much for Twitch Prime. Martin, welcome. Martin Summerton. So I'm just drinking. I don't actually drink that much wine. Maybe a bottle every few weeks. Not on one night. It could last three or four nights. I've been drinking a lot of scotch. If you've been watching TV, CanHammer TV, or watching the Bat Reps, you'll probably see me with a glass of scotch. I am about to go to Japan in 8 days. No, 10 days. Shit. We'll be going to Japan, just me and my wife, for a 2-week trip for her big 40th birthday. And I'm intending to drink some very nice Japanese whiskey while I'm there. And quite possibly bring home a nice bottle. Like a very nice bottle. It's sitting there waiting for me and I can decide if I want it or not. It's pretty rare, and let's just say it's either another army or it's this bottle of whiskey. So we'll see. But the Japanese whiskey is pretty sweet. If you haven't had it and you're into whiskey and scotch, then you should try it. It's a little bit, it's maybe a little bit overhyped, like many Japanese delicacies tend to be, but it's good stuff. So yeah, anyway, so we are going to have a not too long episode tonight because I'm pretty tired, but we got quite a few things to talk about. Jared TB, welcome. Thank you for joining. Want to talk about some upcoming things, our schedule over the next few weeks, give people an update on CanHammer events, including Capital City as well as CanHammer Team. Want to talk about some exciting new news if you're local to Ottawa in terms of CanHammer and some local stores. And of course, some hobby update, and we have 2 books to give away tonight. Vigilus Ablaze and the new Corn Battle Tome. So we have 2 books to give away tonight, courtesy of Hoyt from Thunder Games and Gifts. So stay tuned. As usual, you will need to answer a skill testing question, but if you do, you will get one of these books for free, sent right to your door. So there we go. So first I want to thank everyone for joining me. Thank all our patrons for supporting the channel and the podcast. I want to thank our main sponsors, Dan at Sequence, Dylan at Multizone, Dave at Tista Minis, Hoyt up at Thunder Games and Gifts, and Martin over at Dyson Decks. Our sponsorship structure is going to be changing soon, so stay tuned. We're going to talk about that a bit later. We may be changing our Patreon structure again, but that is far from decided. But we always appreciate everybody's support and for tuning in. So, as people saw, we were back in the swing of things this week with streams. I played a nice game against Matthew on Monday. He came up to me. I was going to practice my Custodes against his Deathwatch for Adepticon. Unfortunately, because of stuff that happened before Adepticon, couldn't get that game in. So afterwards, I was like, dude, I still want to play. Let's play ITC. And he's practicing for CTC. So he said, I want to play my Deathwatch list against Brandon Grant's LVO list. So I'm like, okay, I can make that list. I have all that stuff. I'm not Brandon Grant, but I'll play it to the best of my ability. And let's just say that the Castellan took out like a third of his army by itself in like 2 turns. Some pretty hot rolling on the old plasma shots. 11 shots on one turn, 12 shots on the next turn. Basically 10 dead Primaris every time. So it's kind of gross. Call's Wrath is the anti-Primaris gun. -4 AP, 2 damage a shot. Hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s, wounding on 2s. It's kind of harsh. But it was a great friendly game. It was actually pretty close to about turn 3, and then it just kind of melted away for him. Bullgrinner also kind of gross. And so, yeah, that was fun. And I've got a game coming up on Monday against Francois. He's also practicing for CTC. He's playing a 3-night list with a guard brigade, and he wants to play against Drukhari. So I got my pal Ridvin, aka Skari, to furnish me with his latest ITC list for Drukhari, and I'll be rocking that list on Monday. So, and that looks pretty gross too. So we'll see how that goes. That'll be streamed on Monday night. And then exciting news, Francois has actually decided to film some games, and so hopefully he's going to film a couple of games next week, mostly Sigmar, so he'll help to bolster the content that we're able to get out for you guys on YouTube by filming some bat reps for me. Yeah, so hopefully we'll be increasing the content. I've been thinking about restarting a tactics series, but more as a live stream. So maybe with a live camera on the table or the overhead bat rep view and just some kind of tactics videos. I don't know. I always have all these ideas, but then I just never have the time. So, but that's something that's percolating in my brain. First I want to talk about Day of Blood wrap-up. So Day of Blood was last weekend. It was our little RTT for Sigmar, and we had only 14 players come out, which was unfortunate. I think having it in Brockville was maybe a small factor in that. News later on how that's going to change, but it was still a super fun day, and it was pretty competitive. The painting was not competitive. I think only 3 people didn't score 0 on their paint rubric. So, but it was otherwise pretty hotly contested. Coming in top was Barney with his host of Slanesh army, which is kind of a bit hot right now. Hey, Kevin, welcome. Yeah, Slanesh is a little bit hot right now in Sigmar. People just don't know what it does, and it does a lot, and it's just tabling people. And actually, Barney won a couple of games where he actually got tabled, but had scored enough points. Such is the way of Sigmar. So, so he managed to squeak out the win there, and so congratulations to Barney. I think you'll be seeing that army if you're playing Sigmar at Capital City, because and I think they're getting a book soon with some new models, obviously. So I think if they get better than they are now, they're going to be pretty gross. So congratulations to Barney for winning Day of Blood. And in terms of upcoming events, so upcoming events, our next event obviously is CanHammer Team Tournament. So this is our big ETC style event. Hey, welcome Down Under Network. If that's Adam, hi Adam. If it's somebody else, then hi somebody else. I believe it is like 3 p.m. or something in Australia right now. And oh, exciting news. Look forward to some exciting collaborations between ourselves and Down Under Network. We will be hopefully casting some of their games in Australia at a GT they're holding. And they will be casting some of our live streams. So it's crazy what you can do on the internet these days. So you can shoutcast people's games from across the planet. Yeah, no, I was way off. It's 11:03. He's working. I know he's working. So that's some exciting collaborations. There's a lot of that going on right now. People showcasing other people's games and tournaments from nowhere near where it's happening. So that's very cool. So yeah, CanHammer Team Tournament coming up May 11th and 12th. Super excited about that. That's our annual ETC style team tournament to help prep Team Canada as they go to the ETC. I heard a rumor buzz on the internet. No, there was a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about the new Team USA. And the controversy around this process. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all that, but suffice it to say that Team Canada is going hard this year, and if they do well, that would be really awesome. And so it's going to be great. So this year's CanHammer team it's got that slightly more competitive edge. People better bring their A game. The prospective Team Canada members have formed 2 teams. This is their final tryout, so they're going to be looking to win it all. So if you want to aim for the top, you're going to have to go through one of the Team Canadas or both. So you better bring your A game. So otherwise, we've got 20 teams, 100 people. It's in Ajax this year, and we're ready to go. If people follow us on Instagram, we just received last week a massive box of prize support from Army Painter, courtesy of Adam Abramovitz. So thank you very much for Army Painter and Adam for supplying us with a crap ton of prize support. Dan's a big prize support for this event, so I'll be dragging all that stuff down from Brockville, and we got a bunch of stuff, so it's going to be pretty good. The captains are in the chat. Everybody's ready to go. They're getting their lists ready, and everyone's waiting for the FAQ to drop. So we'll just see when it drops. The rumor is the 17th, and that there's going to be some changes, obviously. So, yeah. Kevin, so the other vendors, so Dave's going to be there from Tista Minis, kind of like he was up in Sudbury. So, Martin will be there all the way from the UK. He's bringing a team, and he's going to be looking to buy Magic cards. So if you have Magic cards to sell, Martin will buy them all and export them over to the UK. So if you got Magic cards you want to sell, bring them in for Martin. And Dream Tea will be there. Raul and those guys, they'll be there and with a stall and selling some pretty sweet swag. You see behind me there that this is a metal printed. A picture of Custodes print on metal that I've hung up in the back here. That's pretty sweet. That's just a poster from White Dwarf. And this is actually a mat, like a mouse mat tapestry that I got from a undisclosed source. If you were at a large event recently, you may realize where this is from. But it's pretty sweet. It's got the Sigmar dude at the top and the Marine dude at the bottom. And it says 40K on it. It's pretty sweet. I hung that up. It's pretty cool. So that's my new podcast setting instead of looking at my shelves of unpainted models. Who's in the running? Well, Trash Panda, it's hard to know. For sure, Team CanHammer is the defending champions. Jason Sparks is the captain this year because Chris is helping me run it, and he's bringing some heat, so you can expect Team CanHammer always to be up there. Team Canada East, Team Canada West, captained by Scary and Devin, with all the ETC team members competing for their spots, will obviously be in the running. Josh Death is bringing his team. I think it's the Northern Defenders. They're usually up there in the running. There's these scrubs called Basement Collective. I don't know. They like to talk big, but there's Forbes is bringing their first team. Bunch of people coming. It's I think it's going to be actually slightly more competitive than previous years. But there's still all the usual fun aspects. You have to bring your charms and your gifts to give people and sports scores and all that stuff. So it's going to be pretty good. Okay, so that's everything. If you have questions about the rules or ETC packs or whatever, because they're changing all the time, freaking ETC is voting all the time on things, then do pass it through your captain, because all the captains are in a chat with me and Chris, and it's much easier if we just answer questions to all the captains at once. It just makes it easier to communicate. So otherwise, we will see everybody in Ajax May 11th and 12th. Room blocks, I think, closed today. So if you haven't got your room blocks, I'm sorry, you missed the boat. But we told the captains ages ago. It's been on the website for a long time. So snooze, you lose. Okay. The next big event, of course, is Capital City Bloodbath. So we're not doing too much planning for Capital City Bloodbath until after CanHammer Team. But I've been doing a lot of planning. So that is August 16th, 17th, 18th. We are most likely going to run some Friday events, which may include, but don't quote me on this, a Free Blades event and demo run by the Free Blades maker themselves. They're going to be in attendance, the rumor is. We'll have Batman. We're going to possibly do Blood Bowl. We're possibly going to have Night Vault Grand Clash. We are almost certainly going to do AOS doubles and 40K doubles on Friday. So there's going to be lots of stuff going on. And then Saturday, Sunday, we are going to be doing, of course, our AOS championships and our 40K championships. This year, I'm expecting upwards of maybe 150 for 40K and hopefully at least 50 or more for Sigmar. So it's going to be big numbers this year. It's going to be a fantastic event. Gamer Garage sale as normal. And this year, we'll talk about it in a second, but it's going to be some big prize sponsorship. So that's very exciting. How many of the events being streamed? So I am flying over Rob from Honest Wargamer to cover our event. He's bringing along Scrivo with him, and they have conscripted, or I guess conscripted is the best word, voluntold. So Val and Michael Scott, aka Austin, I believe, from 40K Unfiltered. And they are going to be shoutcasting the 40K champs. So if there's enough people who can help, we may be able to simultaneously stream AOS and 40K. But if we had to pick one, we got to pick the bigger event, so which would be 40K. But basically, they're going to be covering the event for us. We're going to have a roving reporter. It's going to be pretty sick. If anybody's seen any of Rob's event coverage from like events in the UK, it's pretty good coverage, almost like a sporting event. Like he's trying to cover it like a sporting event. So that should be pretty good. So I'm truly looking forward to that. He's going to be in town, and we'll try to get a live stream on CanHammer TV as well. A game with Rob, me against Rob, grudge match. And he's going to be in Canada for about a week as well. So there may be opportunities for other people to hang and do stuff with Rob. So first time in Canada, first time in Ottawa. So he's super excited. I met with him at Adepticon. Rob is a super awesome guy, and so it's going to be really good. So do check them out, honestwargamer.com. They're based in UK, obviously, and they cover all Sigmar and 40K, and so it's going to be excellent. I'm hoping Sigmar CCBB is going to draw a bunch of people this year that don't normally come, people from across the pond, Americans, a whole bunch of people. I'm getting it all out there. Val's going to be putting it out there. You know, we're getting a bit of a higher profile with Jim and CanHammer and all that sort of stuff. So should be a big event this year. And of course, it's the best time of year to be in Ottawa. Maddie X, that's the name of the channel group Darren mentioned. I don't know, but Rob is from Honest Wargamer. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to go to Australia for 40K, but damn, that's a commitment for sure. I know last year Denise came up from Australia, but he was kind of in the country for other reasons, so that is a long way to go. But yeah, maybe one day. Maybe when we get world famous and people will fly us places. I don't know. So yeah, so Capital City is going to be crazy good. I'm super excited about it already, and it's going to be a great event. August 16th, 17th, 18th. Okay, let's talk about hobby progress. So as you may have noticed, the work in progress segments have dropped off of the YouTube, and that's because mostly my hobby time has really dropped, and I didn't feel like putting out one video every like 2 months was really worth that. But what I'm gonna try and do is get some hobby videos out. I'm also trying to convince actual good painters to paint some hobby videos that we can just put on the channel or stream. So for example, I'm trying to get Ben from Grimdark Games, who's our official paint studio painter, to actually film some of his painting or do some streams, and he's just trying to get things set up and eventually end up with like a setup for that. But I think that would be a better way for us to bring the hobby side back to our channel rather than depending on me to paint stuff, because I just paint super slow these days because I don't have that much time. Saying that, I have accomplished quite a bit. I've expanded my Custodes army, like I needed more golden guys, but I have 9 wardens now, and I have in the process of painting 6 Venatari guys, the Forge-World Flyer Jump Pack dudes. And shout out to Nick at Plastic Crack for helping me actually screw those guys into those freaking... I got like these like marble columns that are actually like cake columns from like wedding cakes. and they're like kind of falling over on the marble bases, and then I had Nick pin them into the bases for me. Yeah, so I'm just finishing pinning those up. Then I have that massive Forge World box that was on the Instagram. That, of course, if you hadn't guessed already, is an Orion dropship from Forge World. So that is my next big project. So I aim to film that, either live stream or video or both. So that will be kind of the next bit of hobby that you'll see me doing, is the Orion dropship. Martin from Dyson Decks very graciously bringing 2 Caladius grav tanks over for me from England, because they are nowhere to be found in America, and so he's bringing them over in his suitcase to CanHammer Team. So that's super exciting, because I want a couple of those. All right, see you later, Adam. So so lots of Custodes hobby to come. On the AOS side, I went through a period of just like spamming AOS armies, so I've kind of calmed down on the AOS for now, until something else really catches my fancy. My sort of undead Sylvaneth army is just going to have to wait a little bit. Currently, Ben's working on Deathwatch and G-Man for me, so to add a Deathwatch contingent to my Imperial armies for the channel. And probably after that will be some Genestealer Cult. So there's lots of stuff coming to the channel, and we'll keep building on that for people. All right. Of course, the ITC has recently changed the award structure for Best in Faction. So now to win Best in Faction in the ITC, you have to play Pure, which is fine, because I think that's cool. I don't think it really changes the meta or anything, and everyone would just end up playing Soup anyway. But for little scrubs like me who want to play like Pure Custodes, I think that adds a little something to aim for. And so I will be focusing on playing Pure Custodes in the competitive setting. So as we get closer to, so my next tournament will probably be, unfortunately I have to run them all now, so I don't actually get to play, but my next tournament that I'm going to play in will probably be TGX in July in Toronto, and then I'm going to try to go to something in the fall. Yeah, Kevin, I can't make Basement Open this year. I have to work that weekend. I was planning on going to Basement Open, but yeah, the work life has conspired against me. So, hey Shane, welcome. Pure Custodes, man. I'm representing, of course, somebody named Shane Watts has polluted that top position now in the Custodes ITC with some soup stuff that will probably never be matched by us pure players. So Shane's probably going to win anyway. So Shane and his weird jank that he's been playing recently. But anyway, so we're gonna try. That's the goal, is to beat Shane in the Best in Faction Custodes ITC race to the top. And so we'll see how that goes. I'm working on some new Custodes tech, and just eagerly awaiting to see what's happening with the FAQ, because that may seriously take out a couple of our hard matchups, i.e. Ynnari and Knights. So we'll see what happens. Of course, that often helps other things get better, but I think we have a good way of dealing with lots of things. Yeah, so that's exciting. That's what we're going to aim for. And then I'm hoping to go to LVO next year. Maybe. I bought tickets yesterday, but didn't end up going. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But that's kind of the plan. Okay. So big news. If you haven't heard already, there's a store opening in Ottawa called Red Dragon Comics and Games. That is a store being opened by Dan and Dylan. So Dan from Secrets Comics and Dylan from Multizone. They are opening this big store there and intend to be really active in the community. Hey 253 Big C signed up for Twitch to watch after binging podcast, favorite podcast. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll let Chris know. But thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed my interview with Jim, by the way. Chris was supposed to be there, but he had to bail out. Of course, he has like a 3-week-old. But super awesome talking to Jim. He's a nice guy, easy to talk to, and very insightful. And Captain Canada right now. So anyway, so this big store opening, and they are going to put this big vinyl on their front window, home of CanHammer, and that's going to be kind of our headquarters store. And so if you go to the store, you'll be able to pick up CanHammer merchandise, and you'll be able to, there'll be a little kind of bulletin board where we'll put event notices and stuff like that. We'll hopefully be able to have them do some signups and stuff, so you can sign up either through the usual method of e-transferring me the sign up, or you could go and sign up in store. So there's going to be lots of stuff like that. They're going to have a little area at the back with a streaming setup that I will do some streams from there and some from my basement. And then apparently you're going to show those streams on a monitor in the store, so you could be like shopping or painting and like watch the stream. So that's pretty cool. There'll be lots of gaming tables. I think they intend to have like 20 tables over there, and so we're going to start to run, hopefully, our like P&Ps and Day of Bloods there, which would be nice. So move that back to Ottawa. And obviously they're going to stock a whole crap ton of merchandise for all different games and hobby supplies. So it's going to be epic. It is going to be East End, Jeanne d'Arc, and somewhere in Orleans. So it's a little bit far east unless you live east, but that's okay because it's probably easier than driving to Brockville. Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. We're going to be there's going to be a CanHammer discount code where everybody can use. You don't have to patron or anything. Anybody can use it and get you some sick discounts. And so it's going to be pretty sweet, and we're probably going to work out some sweet patron deals with them as well. And that's where we're going to kind of reorganize our patron setup. So all this is coming to fruition very soon. Dan thinks the store may even open as early as May 1st. And we're going to try and hold like a grand opening gaming event and shit like that. So super, super exciting. It's going to be epic. And with this new store opening, Dan and Dylan are going full out supporting Capital City Bloodbath. And so it's going to be pretty sick. And that takes the pressure off us for a lot of things, and we can use our resources for a lot of other things. So trying to make the event as good as possible. Best event in Canada for sure. So big things in store. Keep your eyes open on our website, on our Facebook page, as well as you can find Red Dragon Comics and Games on Facebook right now, and like them and follow them for all the hottest news and updates. Cool. So that's kind of the big news in terms of where our local scene is going and CanHammer. And so lots of good things coming from there. So what I want to talk about now is FAQ. So FAQ is rumored to be 17th. I don't know why it's supposed to be on a Wednesday. I think it's usually on a Saturday, but anyway, so it's rumored to be the 17th, and there's lots of rumors. And if you listen to Chapter Tactics and Jeff Robinson's on, he often drops little slanty nuggets of information that probably he shouldn't be doing, but anyway. So the rumor, of course, and then of course in May White Dwarf, which will probably come out kind of end of April, first week of May, Ynnari is getting a new index. Lots of people believe it's going to be a nerf. It should be a nerf, but you know what? Like, hey, Snoop DeVille, welcome. Ynnari has already been nerfed 3 times, and they're still good. So, I don't know. I'm not holding too much hope, but we'll see. They obviously just going to change the way Strength from Death works, and Soul Burst and all that, and maybe they make it a paid resource with some kind of currency. So, my idea was always from the beginning to make Soul Burst a stratagem. 3 CP, you get to move again, fight again, shoot again, and that's it. But anyway. And then there's rumors, of course, that something's going to happen to Knights. Now, people think that something won't happen to Knights because they waited for Adepticon, and Castellans did not win Adepticon. But, you know, just because they didn't win Adepticon doesn't mean they don't need fixing. I think that the Castellan itself is fine. and it's probably pointed appropriately. The issue is that it can eat CP from very cheap CP sources like Guard. So I think that's the problem with Knights. It's not the Knights themselves. And if you've played enough Knight players, you'll know that once they run out of CP, they lose a lot of efficacy. So I think, and GW has shown some measuredness in how they've been nerfing stuff generally. I mean, there's some examples where they just bat it, but they've been actually, their fixes have been moderated. So I don't think they're going to just whack 100 points onto the Castellan. They traditionally have not put points in the FAQ. The points have all been in chapter approved. So I think they're going to play it safe and make little changes to just fix that. So Strasius, you're right. Like, they may take away the ability to give a Castellan 3-up invuln, right? Like, a Knight should not have a 3-up invuln, right? And they may, I guess they could just make things 4 CP or 5 CP, but, I think it's going to be hard for them to do something about sharing CP, because a lot of armies do that. And that kind of screws other armies hard. So I don't know. I'm very interested to see what they do. I think they're going to take a moderate approach to it, and I don't think the points are going to change. I think they're just going to do something, subtle. Bizarre Beast, Riptide should have a 3+ with 16 drones. Yeah, well, anybody who's played enough Tau knows that it's super frustrating. You can't shoot or fight them unless you want to kill a bunch of drones. But Tau are not winning a whole bunch of shit, so they're probably not at the top of the attention span. There's definitely some feel bad things about Tau. It's just a poorly designed army just in the first place, the army only does one thing, they really should just rewrite Tau completely, write it out. It's just, that it doesn't engender a nice way of playing the game if you only do one thing and you can't do anything else in the game. So, you have to give it to the Tau player. They literally can't do anything else in the game, so they need something. I think that's what's going to happen with the FAQ. I don't think it's going to be as crazy as people think. There's rumors that they're going to do something about flyers. So the thing about flyers is, so they never really nerfed flyers. They nerfed individual flyers that people were abusing. So the first flyer, of course, right at the beginning of 8th that was spanned was the Storm Raven, right? You remember those heady days. I think it was ATC the first year after 8th came out, and there's 7 Storm Raven lists everywhere, right? So right after that, Storm Raven got hit, and now you don't see any Storm Ravens. And then at some point, it was like Fire Raptors. I think that was right after Storm Ravens. And then, of course, people were playing Fire Raptors. Then they got bombed. And then, of course, it was the Dark Talon, and actually it was last year Adepticon. Jason Sparks went into the top 16 playing 7 Dark Talons. That was a thing at CanHammer Team. A number of teams had guys playing 7 Dark Talons, and that was stupid, and then that got hit. So and then the rule of 3 was in there somewhere. I think it was a rule of 3 was after Adepticon last year. So most armies, the flyers kind of disappeared, and then they've just come back recently because people have figured out that flyers are pretty good. Eldar flyers are stupid. Dark Eldar flyers are pretty good. And then, some clever person discovered that actually, because all the Eldari books can be the same faction, you can play them all together. And so, lo and behold, comes the next flyer spam list. So I think what they need to do is just cap the number of flyer Force Orc slots, or just get rid of the flyer wing detachment or something like that, and then you won't have that anymore. But yeah, it's a particularly non-interactive list to play against, because if you don't have anything that can kill flyers, or even if you do, if they're -1, -2, -3 to hit, it's not particularly engaging. Anyway, nobody around here, I've not played against it, but I can imagine what it's like to play against, so whatever. And you know those and then what makes it worse is that you have like 7 flyers, but they're all really good flyers too. It's not like flying around in like, you know, crappy flyers. It's flying around in flyers that are psychers, that are -1, -2, -3 to hit, that can turn on a dime and never fly off the board, that have like 16-inch like auto hitting crazy flamers, that can smite you, that can do all these various things. So that's the problem with the flyers. It's not that you're running around with some crappy Space Marine flyers that nobody cares a shit about. Is that you have these flyers and they're all individually extremely good. Abusively good, one might say. So, you know, those Eldar flyers all have well too many rules on every datasheet. So, yeah. So, you know, if I played them with my bike list, then I'd probably be able to kill some flyers. But then they kill Custodes, man. Those freaking flyers are hardcore. So, anyway, I think something will happen to flyers, probably. But you know, they were at LVO and they were at Adepticon. There's plenty of flyers around, so you know, GW's watching. They're definitely watching. So, what else will change? They got to correct the Obliterator points error. Let's just put it out there now. It's obviously an error. Obliterator shouldn't be 65 points. I hate Oblits, because they like, in my games against Oblits, they just wreck me, like always wounding on at least force, if not better, and -2, -3, 3 down. Like, oh, I hate Oblits, and the whole like tree Oblit thing was like a pox. Never mind the pun, a pox on my game. But anyway, they're clearly not supposed to be 65 points because they got better than they were. So we'll see. But so that probably needs to be fixed, and then. Yeah, I guess they'll FAQ some of the chaos stuff, whatever FAQs have come up. Yeah, I think that's about it. I guess they'll officialize, like, maybe they'll officialize the Beta Bolter rule, or maybe it's too early. Maybe they'll wait for the fall one for that. I'm eagerly awaiting, as is Shane probably, when we might see revised or official final Forge World Custodes rules. It's really annoying to me, even though I'm not playing in the CanHammer team, that ETC voted not to have. I understand that they vote not to have Forge World because traditionally they've hated Forge World, but these are Forge World models, but with GW rules. And I understand you have issue with Forge World rules. Nobody has a problem with the models themselves, but they have GW rules. I mean, they were pretty well written. They weren't the crazy shit that Forge World comes out with. I could have written crazy shit rules, but they were good rules whose models happen to be from Forge World, and they still didn't allow that, which to me is stupid. But anyway, ETC can be a little bit crazy sometimes, so that's annoying. So anyway, it doesn't bother me too much because I'm not playing at CanHammer team, but if I was, that would be really annoying to me. So, and the question is, when they become official then and not beta, then do they get allowed? I don't know. Like, it's silly. But I love that direction, and if GW ends up writing all the Forge World rules, then maybe we'll start to see people allowing more Forge World all over the place, or that we start seeing more Forge World. I would like my Mastodon to come back down to like 800 points. Is that reasonable? Can I have 800 instead of 1500? I would love 800. I would play it just for funsies. It's not going to win anything, but it's freaking hard to kill, I tell you that. But maybe not so much in today's meta. But yeah, the Mastodon was fun while it lasted. So yeah, I think that the FAQ will be good, and I've actually been fairly happy with all the FAQs, and I think GW's done a very good job, and I'm not going to bash them, even though they never answer my emails. So yeah, I'm trying rabidly to get them to recognize Canada as a country and as a place where people actually play their games, and that we have big events here, some of the bigger ones in North America, and that they don't know we exist. They don't answer our emails or anything. So, you know, there you go. Yeah, so Strasius, that's gone through iterations in the ITC. So they used to ban things over a certain power level, and then GW made all those things points ridiculous. So then they took that ban away because they didn't need it. And then they nerfed individual things at first, like what's the name of those stupid like 20-point smite models that everybody used to spam? Dark Lords or something. Star Lords? No, I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, everybody used to spam those stupid smite spam fourth row guys until they nerf those, and then so we'll see. Like, and I think running a banned and restricted list like in card games, like they kind of do for that, is kind of silly. Like, why don't they just write the rules? Like fourth row clearly don't know what they're doing. So, but they make crazy nice models, so why don't they just write the rules? And maybe that's what they're going to be doing from now on, which would be great, because that's clearly what they did for the Custodes stuff. Malefic Lords, yeah, Malefic Lords, oh my god, oh, it's giving me a headache thinking about Malefic Lords and all that shit back then. Oh my god, that was bad. Malefic Lords, oh my god. So the game has come a long way since then. 253, I think after Adepticon they're gonna recognize if you mean they're gonna recognize Canada, maybe. They weren't there at the 40k championship, of course. They were streaming some crazy AOS game when they should have been streaming like one of the biggest 40k tournaments in North America. Who am I to comment? But yeah, so we'll see. It'd be nice if I'm not saying that they need to give us prize support. I'm just saying that maybe they put us on the calendar. Maybe they just recognize that this country exists. Maybe they open a Canadian Forge World store so we don't have to play crazy US prices. They could do a lot of things. Maybe they allow their local stores to actually support local events. How about that? That'd be nice. Get Joe to set up a little stall at the capital city. That'd be kind of cool, right? So that would grow the community because, but anyway, I'm not GW management. So that would be cool. So I'm looking forward to FAQ. I think they've done a good job, and they've been fairly moderate in their nerf bats, and it seems like they're just trying to make the last chapter approved. They were trying to make bad things better as opposed to making really good things worse, which is cool as long as you don't creep it too much. So that's pretty cool. What I really don't like is this White Dwarf rules thing. Now, while I'm a big fan of more rules, it is probably more bloaty right now than 7th was, although it's easier to find where the rule is. But now I need to get White Dwarf issues or like photocopies or downloads and bring those to tournaments. I'm going to need 3 or 4 different copies of White Dwarf, Vigilus books, your codex, FAQs. There's 2 FAQs for. Why don't they combine the erratas and FAQs and designer commentary into one document? Blows my mind. Why don't they just do that? Or have a living document that that's searchable, like a living PDF searchable document for all FAQs. I don't know, but it could certainly be easier than it is now. As a TO, like when you have to look something up, like God knows you have to look in 6 different places to try and find the answer. So it's just as bloaty as it was in 7th, but it just seems less bloaty because the rules are simpler. But this addition now of White Dwarf rules, I understand that maybe they're probably going to consolidate them every year into a chapter approved. But for a year you got to collect White Dwarfs, and it's annoying. Because I actually stopped collecting White Dwarfs and then now I had to start again. It's really annoying. Although the cover of the Assassin one is pretty sick. I am also, for some reason, still receiving 2 copies of every White Dwarf. So if you happen to be in my house around the time when I receive my White Dwarfs, you get a free copy of White Dwarf. Like I gave mine to Francois the other day. Okay, so I think that's all the things I want to talk about. If people have any other topics they want to talk about or want my uninformed opinion on, then please put it in the chat. I'm going to announce now that we're going to be doing giveaways in the next few minutes. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook as you know, the usual way it works is I ask a skill testing question on here, and the first person to type the right answer in Twitch chat wins. And so you have to be in the Twitch chat in order to win, because I'm not looking at Facebook chats or YouTube chats, unfortunately. So give people a few minutes to get onto Twitch, and then we will give these babies away. Just to remind, we are giving away a copy of Vigilus Ablaze, which is basically Chaos Space Marines Codex number 2. It is quite thick, and it's got a lot of stuff in here. So it's a cool book, and this is shrink wrapped and brand new. This is these books are from Hoyt at Thunder Games and Gifts. Check him out at Thunder Games and Gifts up in Thunder Bay. He runs pretty sick discounts, and we'll ship stuff for free. So check him out. And then we are giving away the Blades of Khorne Battle Tome. This is the new Khorne Battle Tome. I saw some of it in action at Day of Blood 2. Some of the Khorne is really good. Some of it is not that good. But new stuff in there. It's pretty sweet. It was an interesting, so if you watch the Day of Blood report, there was one of the games was 3 places of arcane power, so you need a relic or a wizard to hold. So there was Beastclaw against Khorne. They ain't got no wizards. So it was just the guy holding the relic was this Thunder Tusk guy who has to charge. He has to declare a charge, and he has to actually make the charge, because in Sigmar you can roll and decide not to charge. So if he rolled and it was high enough, he has to charge. So the Khorne guys were trying to stand away from him just within 12 to pull him off the objective by forcing him to charge. And so he did 4 charge rolls and failed them all. He was trying to fail them. He was going to even CP re-roll in order to fail the charge. That's interesting. Let's see. Snoop DeVille says, I need the Vigilus. Okay, you have it in your eBay cart. Well, you might get lucky, Snoop, because, you know, this is not like trying to win the lottery. There's not that many people here, so chances are high. Bizarre, 40k Beast, love Hoyt, use Thunder all the time. That's great. That's great. Yeah, people should check out Hoyt up at Thunder Games and Gifts. Snoop DeVille, anyone wants to whisper me the answer, I'm cool with that. Come on, Snoop. No cheating. Manadao, 42. Not sure what that means. Maddie X8469, having been to a big tournament recently, how did AdMech fare in the standings? I want to build an AdMech list. What's weird is we don't have a lot of AdMech here. I know Will Paul plays AdMech and Knights. I know AdMech in general has been doing pretty well. I've not heard of them winning any big events yet when I'm listening to Chapter Tactics or Peter Colissimo talking about stats, but I think they're doing better than they were. Breachers apparently are the hot shit. Termite drills are pretty good. I think most people are used to the old priest thing, but and then I think obviously you pair them with a knight and they get pretty good. So yeah, I think AdMech is pretty good. Robots are still scary. You know, you can beat them by touching them, but if you can't touch them, they're going to shoot you down. Those guys are still scary. So, yeah. It's always interesting to, like, somebody should experiment with punchy robots. You know, it's like I want to experiment with punchy Telemons. Like, you know, it's a lot. It's like 280 points for punchy Telemon, but you can do like 20 damage in one round of combat. That's pretty sweet. Not a lot of things do 4 straight damage in this game. So Punchy Telemon is pretty interesting to try. But anyway. Martin Sumton, I'll do punchy robots. Go for it, Martin. I want to see you with punchy robots, man. And Bizarre 40 Base, I just brought 3 Vulture gunships, and they're amazing. Yeah, Vultures are kind of hot shit right now. Who knows? I personally am not scared of Vultures. Vultures do nothing to Custodes, but they do a lot to lots of squishy things. So yeah, so Vultures, the Vulture Tyranid Gene Stealer cult list is obviously making the rounds, and Vultures are probably pretty good. I actually bought 3 Vultures from Forge World. I received them, and then I returned them in exchange for an Orion dropship. So it's just the choices you have to make. I was thinking of just buying the Vulture cannons and then converting my Valkyries, because I have like 3 unused Valkyries. So I was thinking of doing that to make like cool converted Vultures, and then I can turn my Valkyries into something useful. So I might still do that. But yeah. Okay, we're going to start very soon. In the next minute, we're going to give these 2 babies away. So So there's a rumor. Well, it's not a rumor. Josh Death told me he has 3 Orions, and he will be bringing the triple Orion list to a unfortunate tournament near you soon. And that list gets even better if Yannari goes down the tubes, and if Knights go away. 3 flying Knights, basically -1 to -2 to hit, with a lot of guns, and backed up by 5 up Inbalm and shield captains. So yeah. Studs and Scrubs. So yeah, if you guys don't listen to Studs or Scrubs, I think this is the name of the podcast. It's run by Dustin and Jesse. It's a cool new podcast. It chronicles these 2 guys who are Canadians from, I think, west of Toronto, their journey to make it onto Team Canada, etc. And so for another kind of Canadian-based podcast, is really it's a good podcast. You should check it out, and it's fun to listen to. And I was a bit disappointed today. I was listening to an episode, and Jesse was really panning the CanHammer painting rubric. He should message us about that. He needs to get out some frustrations. But yeah, I guess saying he will be painting to the rubric for CanHammer team. So, but yeah, it's a great podcast, and you guys should listen to it. Studs or Scrubs. And cool. So we're going to start these giveaways. So the first giveaway, you're going to tournament with Jim's list. Well, Jim's list is good, but I think the reason it works so well is because of Jim. He's been playing that list for a long time, and that's evidence that if you play something for a long time, you can certainly outperform than what people would expect. Okay, we'll save this one. It's the big event. So, okay, we're gonna give away Blades of Corn. How many people on here want Blades of Corn Battle Tome? Not really? Okay. So to win the Blades of Corn Battle Tome, though, you're going to have to answer a 40K trivia question. And the first person, of course, that puts it on the Twitch chat will win this. And the question is, what is the name of the corn demon or bloodthirster or whatever he is that fights with the Blood Angels? That famous fight against, what's his name? Pretty boy. Sanguinius. The Blood Angels' famed opponent. The Corn Demon. I'm just going to make sure I got it right. I remember reading that book. What's the name of that heresy book? Yeah, so it is in fact Cabanda on the Battle of Cygnus Prime, where he fights Sanguinius. He's the Bloodthirster, in fact, yes. The enduring nemesis of the Primarch Sanguinius. All right, so Shane, you've won yourself a copy of the Battle Tome Blades of Corn. Here you go. Boom. Speaking of heresy, of course, the Siege of Terra is about to begin. I think in May is the first book of the Siege of Terra. I don't know how many books the Siege itself is going to be, but it's super exciting. I just finished reading the something dagger, hidden dagger or something, the one about the Death Guard's fall and taking the Mark of Nurgle and Mortarian's backstory. Super cool book, even though I don't really like Death Guard, but I thought that book was really well written and really cool. So if you're a Horsey fan, get ready for the Siege of Terra. Congratulations, Shane. Send me your address, Shane, and I'll ship that out to you. And then maybe you'll stop playing Custody so I can win the faction. Okay. So next book is Vigilus Ablaze. In the interest of fairness, Shane, I'm going to disqualify you from this competition so you don't win both books. So this book now up for grabs in the next competition right now. So the skill testing question is, Abaddon, or Abaddon, as apparently we're supposed to call him, has a sword. The sword is called Dracnian. it is a demon bound into the sword. And so, what is the origin of the demon Dracnian? Yeah, it's a good story. And there's more to this story from one of my favorite Horus Heresy books that we'll talk about in a second. But what is the origin of the demon Dracnian that is in Abaddon's sword? Silence. Either that or somebody's typing out like a novel and hoping they finish typing it before somebody puts a shorter version. Nope, it's not the blade that killed Sanguinius. Nope. Horus killed Sanguinius. And Horus had a mace. What's his name? World Destroyer or something? Yes, Beer of Hrod. First murder, I'll accept that. So basically, this demon was born caused by the first ever murder of a human of another human. That's right. So that was the origins of the demon Dracnian that lives in Abaddon's sword. And in one of my favorite heresy books of all time, Emperor of Mankind, which is one of the first books where Custodes gets a starring role and the Emperor gets a starring role, they're of course talking about the war under the palace because of Magnus doing nothing wrong apparently. And so this demon comes out and tries to kill the Emperor and stabs the Emperor with the sword, but then the Emperor traps him inside the sword. That's where the sword comes from, and then pulls it out of himself. And he had arranged for a custodian to hold the demon and stab the custodian with the sword and told the custodian to run away. And obviously that custodian didn't do a great job because it ended up in Abaddon's hands. But that is the cool part of that story, Emperor of Mankind. I guess when Cain killed Abel. I don't know. It's when Cain killed Abel. It's 40K history mirrors a little bit sometimes, like recognizable names and stuff of human history, but I don't know if that's ever been put out there directly, but it was formed from the first murder. Yeah. Kieran, jawbone sword. It's a jawbone sword. I don't know. It's a good question. So congratulations to Beer of Hrod. Beer of Hrod, you need to message me either on Facebook or email us at canhammer.yt@gmail.com. Give me your name and postal address, and we will send this out to you as soon as we can. Okay, well, thank you very much, guys. So up next week, as I mentioned, is game on Monday night against Francois. We're going to be playing 40K competitive ITC. Triple Knight and Guard Brigade versus Drukari Scary Special. So that should be a fun and cool game. So don't miss it, 9 o'clock Monday night. Then next week, some point, probably Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to have another episode of the podcast. And then I am literally off to Japan. We'll be gone for 2 weeks until May the 5th. During that 2 weeks, there will likely be no live streams unless I decide to live stream myself eating some sushi in Tokyo. Would people be up for that? But if I find a GW in Tokyo, I'm totally live streaming that. Like, that's going to be a live update from Tokyo for CanHammer. But otherwise, there will be bat reps that I filmed previously on the usual Wednesday release. And so that will keep going. And then the week I come back, there won't be a live stream probably, but we'll do an episode of the podcast where we do live pairings for CanHammer Team Tournament. That's the tradition. And then, of course, the CanHammer Team is the weekend right after I come back. So that should be great. So lots of stuff coming up. And if people have gaming destinations in Tokyo they want me to check out, I can try and make time and go out there. But just send it to me in Facebook or something, and we'll see if we can get out there. But otherwise, thank you for everybody for watching. Congratulations to the winners. And we will see you next time. Thanks for joining me tonight, and catch you next time.